When you stop chasing the wrong things, you give the right things a chance to catch you. Lolly-daskal. The truth is, in relationships, the art of attracting someone isn't about playing hard to get or pretending to be indifferent. It's about creating real value, establishing strong self-worth, and becoming so magnetic that people naturally chase you. If you've ever wondered how to make them chase you without relying on games, the answer lies in a few key actions you can start today. The goal is to make them crave your presence without the need for cool, distant behavior. Instead, focus on being authentic, confident, and purposeful in how you engage. Curious. Keep reading to learn how to make them chase you without playing it cool. 6 powerful tips that will shift the dynamic and have them coming to you effortlessly. Number 1. Own your value with unapologetic confidence. Why do we find ourselves magnetically drawn to confident people? It's not because they're trying to outshine everyone or prove something. They simply know their worth and refuse to settle. Think about it. Confidence isn't about begging for approval or seeking validation. It's about standing tall in your value, regardless of whether others acknowledge it. So, let me ask you, what would it feel like to show up as your authentic self without needing anyone's validation? Here's the truth. People chase after those who don't need to be chased. The moment you stop seeking approval and start channeling your energy into your goals, passions, and self-growth, everything shifts. You start to notice how people around you begin to pay attention. Confidence is contagious. When you honor and respect yourself, when you embrace your uniqueness, others naturally gravitate toward that energy. But how do we get there? Start by asking yourself this simple but powerful question. What makes me valuable? What is it that sets you apart? Instead of trying to fit into the mold of what you think others want, lean into what makes you you. Is it your talents, your drive, your passion? When you truly own your strengths, you step into a realm of unshakable confidence that no one can take away from you. It has been proven that confident people tend to earn higher salaries and get promoted more often. And here's the kicker. It's not because they're always the most capable. It's because their belief in their own value opens doors. Confidence shapes how others perceive you, and it's not about being loud or arrogant. It's about having a quiet, steady assurance that radiates from within. Picture this. When you're rooted in confidence, you stop tolerating disrespect, and you no longer settle for less than you deserve. Setting boundaries becomes second nature because you know your time and energy are valuable. Take Serena Williams, for example. She faced immense criticism and challenges throughout her career, but did she ever waver in her belief? Absolutely not. Her unapologetic confidence drove her to become one of the greatest athletes of all time. As she once said, "A champion is defined not by their wins, but by how they can recover when they fall." Let's also tap into the wisdom of the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Confidence is born in your mind. It's the way you see yourself. If you choose to focus on growth, learning, and building your inner worth, you'll realize that external judgments don't have power over you. Imagine walking into a room, not asking yourself, "Do they like me?" but confidently knowing, "I belong here." How freeing would that be? Now here's something practical. You don't need to shout your value from the rooftops. In fact, the most confident people in the room are often the quietest. They let their actions do the talking. Have you ever noticed how someone who truly knows their worth doesn't need to brag or boast? Their energy says it all. They're not desperate for attention because their success speaks louder than words. So, what happens when you stop chasing after approval and start focusing on your passions and purpose? Let me tell you, it's magic. Suddenly, the world starts to take notice. When you dive headfirst into your passions, whether it's your career, a hobby, or personal growth, you no longer have to chase opportunities. They come knocking at your door. Confidence shifts the narrative. You go from seeking to being sought after. One of the simplest ways to build this type of confidence is to step outside your comfort zone every day. It doesn't have to be anything grand. Maybe it's sparking a conversation with a stranger or taking on a project that feels a little intimidating. Each small act of courage builds up, showing you that you're more capable than you've ever imagined. And here's the most powerful takeaway. When you stand firmly in your value, you'll no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. As Les Brown said, "You have greatness within you." Let that sink in. When you truly believe in your greatness, doubt has no place in your life. You become the kind of person others admire and respect, not because you're trying to win them over, but because they can see your unwavering belief in yourself. So what about you? Are you ready to step into your own power? What will you focus on today that will help you grow into your most authentic, confident self? The world is waiting to see you own your value. Number 2, establish your standard quota. Setting standards early in a relationship is a delicate balance, isn't it? It's not about overwhelming the other person with a long list of expectations right away. Instead, think of it as planting seeds of intention, letting things unfold naturally, and if those needs aren't met, having the courage to say, "This doesn't meet my standards." Here's the kicker. Your standards, not your indifference, will ultimately give you control. But let's be clear. These expectations are for someone you've come to understand, not someone you've just met. Standards reflect our core needs, but they shouldn't exist in a vacuum. If basic needs like respect, consistent communication, or genuine affection aren't being met, your standards will help you maintain your power. Think of it this way. If someone says to you, "We've only been on a few dates, and you're already telling me everything you expect in a serious relationship," they might feel overwhelmed. To them, standards might feel like demands, as if you're forcing them into a specific set of behaviors. Sometimes our standards can come across as overbearing, especially with someone we hardly know. However, the early stages of dating are a different story. Standards at this point should be subtle, focused more on where you direct your energy. If you're not getting enough in return, shift your focus. Pour that energy into other areas of your life, other people, or even other dating prospects. It's not about making someone meet your needs. It's about recognizing when they don't and adjusting accordingly. Here's the twist. Your standards show someone that they're no longer engaging with you the way they once did. It's a quiet but powerful signal that your time, energy, and attention are incredibly valuable. Think about this. What are your non-negotiables? Are you asking for too much? Or are you simply standing firm on what truly matters? For instance, if clear and consistent communication is important to you and the person you're dating is erratic or distant, that's a red flag. Let's look at a real-world example. Suppose you've been seeing someone for a few weeks, but they constantly cancel plans last minute or send you sporadic, detached messages. Your standards should make you wonder, does this person genuinely care about me, or are they stringing me along? Clarity comes when you realize that consistent effort is a basic requirement in any healthy relationship. If they're not showing that, you have every right to walk away. As the American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson wisely put it, "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." Actions reveal intentions, and if someone's actions don't align with your standards, it's time to reassess their place in your life. So, what do your standards say about your current relationship? Are you holding on to someone who isn't meeting them, hoping they'll change? Or are you standing firm, knowing that the right person will respect and value your boundaries? Don't lower your standards just to keep someone around. It's easy to make excuses for someone's behavior, especially when you're emotionally invested. But consistency with your standards builds self-esteem and prevents you from settling for less. Every time you compromise your standards for someone else's convenience, you teach them that they don't need to try as hard. The right person will naturally align with your standards, or they'll make an effort to meet them without you having to push. Here's the truth. Having standards isn't about being difficult or demanding. It's about self-respect. And self-respect is the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship. When you hold your ground, you're not just protecting yourself, you're signaling to others that you're worthy of the effort and respect a healthy relationship requires. Number 3, find happiness within yourself. When it comes to love, we often find ourselves drawn to what we might call forbidden fruit, blinded by emotions that leave us feeling lost. We like to believe we have the strength to rise above such emotions, especially when we watch others caught up in relationships. But when we step into love's path ourselves, reality can be quite different. The question that arises is, do we have the emotional strength to navigate it? Picture this scenario. You meet someone incredibly captivating, someone who radiates charm, allure, or sensuality. In that moment, all your rational thoughts seem to vanish. You get swept away by a whirlwind of emotions. Suddenly your mind races. How do you win them over? How do you make them understand you? How do you ensure they won't leave? These worries pile up, and before you know it, anxiety overwhelms you whenever you're around them. The fear of being abandoned starts to grow. But why does this happen? It often stems from a deeper belief that we must chase after others to earn their approval. Perhaps it comes from the feeling that we're not good enough. Somewhere along the way, you may have absorbed the idea that others are better than you and that you need to prove your worth. This belief is the root cause of the chasing, but here's the truth. Chasing rarely works. Now pause for a moment and ask yourself, have you ever noticed that the more you pursue someone, the more distant they seem to become? This isn't a coincidence. It's the power dynamic at play. The act of chasing creates an imbalance in relationships. The more you chase, the more the other person feels like they're in control. This power dynamic often makes the person you're chasing feel less inclined to reciprocate because they don't feel the need to put in effort to gain your attention. Constantly pursuing someone shows that you're placing their value above your own. If you don't respect yourself enough to know your worth, why should they? People are drawn to those who possess self-esteem and self-control. Instead of chasing, consider stepping back and focusing on building your own self-worth. When you radiate confidence and emotional stability, you naturally become more attractive, drawing people towards you without having to chase. So how do you shift this dynamic? How do you break free from the urge to chase? The answer lies in turning your focus inward. Start by acknowledging that your worth isn't defined by someone else's approval. Embrace personal growth, pursue your passions, and focus on what makes you happy. Ask yourself, who do I want to become, regardless of who I'm with? Engage in the process of self-improvement, whether through exercise, learning new skills, or nurturing meaningful relationships, because these are seen as more attractive qualities. It's not about the physical or material changes, but about the confidence and fulfillment that radiate from within. Think about it. Relationships aren't about proving your worth. They're about mutual respect and admiration. When you stop chasing, you create space for someone to come to you, drawn by your authenticity and confidence. Here's something worth pondering. What if the key to making someone fall in love with you isn't about what you do for them, but about who you become for yourself? That, my friend, might just be the most powerful revelation of all. We often assume that love requires effort, the kind that pushes us to impress and secure someone's affection. But what if love is less about effort and more about alignment, aligning with your true self so deeply that others are naturally pulled in by your energy? You see, when you chase someone, You send the signal that they're up on a pedestal, out of your reach. This imbalance creates a gap, one that keeps you in a perpetual state of need rather than mutual connection. But imagine shifting the script. Imagine standing still and letting love come to you. When you stop chasing, you reclaim your power. You allow space for someone to appreciate you for who you truly are, rather than for how hard you try. And in that stillness, you radiate something far more compelling, an undeniable confidence that says, I am enough, just as I am. So, take a deep breath. Release the need to chase. Turn inward. Build yourself up. Love yourself fiercely, because when you do, you won't have to chase anyone ever again. The right people will naturally be attracted to you. Number 4, building emotional connection without overthinking. So many people think that emotional suppression or playing hard to get is the magic formula for sparking attraction. They've heard it's all about holding back, masking your interest, and staying cool. But what if that's the very thing that's holding you back? What if real attraction is rooted in emotional connection, in being authentic, vulnerable, yet still dignified? Picture this. You meet someone new, and instead of filtering every word to appear aloof, you drop the act and share a moment of genuine care. You ask them something like, "What inspires you the most in life?" Can you feel the shift? Suddenly, they aren't just captivated by your appearance or the surface-level charm, they're intrigued by something deeper. You've bypassed the casual, and now you've sparked curiosity about who you really are. You haven't pushed too hard or overshared. Instead, you've let them see a glimpse of your authentic self while still maintaining enough personal space to keep things interesting. And the beauty of it all? You didn't have to pretend to be calm. You just showed up as you. 1. Why does this work? It's simple. When you let someone see a bit of who you truly are, it invites them to open up too. It's like an unspoken invitation to step into a space where trust can grow. But here's the key. It's not about pouring out your soul or getting overly emotional. It's about being intentional and thoughtful with your words. Imagine this. Would you rather be remembered as the person who said something real, something thought-provoking, or as the one who hid behind a wall of indifference, trying too hard to seem unaffected? When you ask questions that dive deeper, like, what's the most valuable lesson you've learned recently? You aren't just engaging in conversation. You're connecting with their inner world. You're shifting the dynamics, moving from surface-level small talk to meaningful exchanges. That's where true attraction begins, and where connection turns magnetic. Second Stoic perspective on connection. From a Stoic point of view, emotional control is not about pushing down your feelings until they disappear. It's about mastering them, understanding your emotions, expressing them wisely, and never letting them control you. As Seneca famously said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." In the realm of attraction, this could not be more true. When you stop worrying about how things will unfold and simply embrace the present moment with authenticity, you become grounded. And grounded people? They attract others like magnets, not by playing games, but by being real. Imagine yourself on a date. The conversation flows easily, but instead of overthinking every word, you decide to take a different approach. You ask, what's a challenge you've faced that shaped who you are today? That one question has the power to shift the entire interaction. Suddenly, the conversation is no longer about impressing each other. It's about connecting on a deeper level. And you didn't have to manipulate the situation. You just brought your authentic self to the table. 3. Science backs it up. This isn't just about philosophy. Science has proven time and time again that emotional vulnerability is the cornerstone of meaningful relationships. According to psychologist Brené Brown, those who embrace vulnerability instead of hiding from it experience more fulfilling relationships. In her 2014 study, she found that people who are open about their feelings create stronger connections. It's not about revealing every little thing, it's about being comfortable enough in your own skin to share the parts of you that matter. Think of it like this. When you allow someone to see a part of your true self, you invite them to do the same. This fosters a sense of emotional intimacy that goes beyond superficial attraction. It's not about spilling your secrets, it's about letting them see that you are real, and that's powerful. What if, instead of trying to keep up the facade of being cool, you embrace the strength of your vulnerability? How would that change your interactions? 4. The magic of thought-provoking questions. What truly ignites someone's interest? Is it casual flirting? Maybe sometimes, but more often, it's the questions that make them pause and think. Questions like, what drives you to chase your dreams? Or, what's a life experience that shaped who you are today? Aren't just conversation fillers, they are gateways to deeper understanding. They take you both beyond the mundane and into the territory where connections are built. This is where attraction grows, when someone feels that you understand them on a level that most people don't. Imagine meeting someone new, and instead of lingering in the safe waters of small talk, you dive into the deep end. You ask something that makes them stop and think. You can almost see the wheels turning in their head as they realize, this is different. This is someone who sees me, not just the surface version of me. And that's when the real chase begins, not because you're playing hard to get, but because they're curious, they want to know more about you. 5. Stop hiding behind calm, start showing up as you. Let's face it, how often do we hide behind a mask of calm indifference, afraid to show our real selves? We've been taught that to keep someone interested, we need to play it cool, to act like we don't care too much. But what if that's the very thing keeping us from true connection? What if showing up as our real imperfect selves is what sparks that deep attraction we've been searching for? Think about the next time you meet someone new. Will you stay on the surface, hiding behind small talk and the pressure to seem unaffected? Or will you dare to ask a question that dives deeper, that reveals a piece of your soul? What would happen if you showed them who you really are, without fear, without pretense? What's stopping you from embracing that kind of openness today? People don't chase after those who pretend to be calm and indifferent. They chase those who make them feel seen, heard, and understood, the ones who aren't afraid to show up as they are. So, the next time you feel the urge to play it cool, ask yourself, what would happen if I just showed up as me? Number 5, maintain a balanced presence, always there, but not always available. Human psychology is wired to desire what isn't always within reach. If you're constantly available, your presence can lose its allure. But the secret isn't disappearing entirely. It's about creating a balanced presence. Be there, engage when you're around, but maintain a touch of mystery. Let them wonder about certain aspects of your life. You don't need to respond to messages instantly or share every detail of your day. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Focus on living a rich, fulfilling life, and let others naturally wonder what else occupies your time. This isn't about playing games, it's about showing that you have a complete life, satisfied with or without their constant attention. When you're pursuing your passions and living authentically, you automatically become more attractive because you're demonstrating independence. They'll want to chase you just to be part of that world. Why do we value rare things? Because they aren't easily obtained. The same principle applies to relationships. Scarcity creates value. When you're always available, it removes the challenge, the excitement. Research even backs this up. People are generally more attracted to people who exhibit some form of unpredictability. The key is to engage but still leave room for curiosity. This is where the Stoic principle of self-sufficiency comes in. It's not about intentionally making someone miss you. It's about building a life that someone naturally wants to be part of. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "Do what you can with what you have where you are." This applies to relationships too. Be present, but don't lose yourself in someone else's orbit. Instead of constantly seeking attention, focus on your own goals. Maybe it's that new project you've been thinking of starting, a workout plan, or simply spending time reflecting and growing. When you invest in your own life, you're subconsciously sending the message that your time is valuable, and that's when they start valuing it too. How do you balance being available without seeming aloof or playing hard to get? The answer lies in intention. Engage meaningfully when you're present. Ask deep questions, listen actively, but don't feel the need to respond to every message immediately or be at every social event. This creates space for curiosity, for growth, for desire. Think of it like tending a garden. You don't water it constantly, but you give it just enough attention to let it flourish. In relationships, you give attention, but also let things breathe. This way, you create anticipation. The lack of constant interaction allows for reflection and often a stronger bond. Let's take a real-life example. Imagine you're texting someone you're interested in. You've been chatting for a while, and now, instead of replying instantly to their latest message, you take a few hours or even a day to respond. You're not ignoring them. You're just living your life. That small gap creates room for them to wonder about you. What's keeping you busy? And that curiosity is powerful. They'll be more eager for your response, valuing your time more because it's not endless. So how can you apply this to your life? Here's a simple tip. Next time you feel the urge to respond immediately, pause. Use that moment to focus on something that nurtures your own growth, whether it's reading, exercising, or even just reflecting. Then, when you do engage, you bring more depth and value to the conversation. The concept of presence is critical, not just in romantic relationships, but in every area of life. When you're fully present but not constantly available, you gain respect and admiration. You're telling the world that while you're there to connect, you also value yourself enough to cultivate your own life. So, what's the takeaway? Don't disappear, but don't be everywhere either. Be there when needed, but let there be moments where your absence is felt. This balance between presence and mystery is what keeps relationships exciting. As you move forward, ask yourself, how can I cultivate a fulfilling life that others want to be a part of, without needing their constant validation? Your next step in creating this balance isn't about pursuing, but about being pursued by living a life truly worth chasing. This isn't just a clever tactic, it's a shift in mindset. It's about knowing your worth, being intentional with your time, and understanding that scarcity, when used wisely, creates desire. There's something intriguing about a person who is confident enough to not be in a rush, who is fully engaged in their life yet still makes space for meaningful connection. It's about owning your story, your pace, your energy. You are the rare gem, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're immersed in the richness of your own world. Let them come to you, drawn by the allure of your confidence, curiosity, and calm. When they reach out, they'll feel the impact of your presence even more, because you were never too eager, never too available. This is the essence of powerful attraction, not through distance, but through living vibrantly and authentically. So, as you go about your day, remember, your life, your energy, your time, they're all valuable. When you treat them that way, others will too. This is the art of creating a magnetic presence without ever having to pretend. Are you ready to start living in a way that makes others want to be part of your story? Because once you do, you'll see how the balance between being there but not always available creates an irresistible pull, one that speaks louder than any game of playing hard to get ever could. Number 6. Pursuing and being pursued. Wow, isn't it fascinating how relationships are this intricate dance of give and take? You know, in culture there's an underlying rhythm, a subtle flow toward balance, especially in romantic relationships. It's like you're moving with the currents, sometimes pulling someone in and other times letting them drift just far enough to create that electric pull of desire. And isn't that tension what makes the connection even more powerful? Think about it. If you're always the one doing the pursuing, you might miss out on the magic of being pursued. That feeling of someone else taking a step toward you, wanting to be in your space because they chose to, not because you're constantly drawing them in. It's almost like creating a space where attraction can breathe, like the calm before the storm. That's where the spark lies. Picture this. You've had an amazing evening together. The laughter still lingers in the air, the connection undeniable. Naturally, you want to reach out the next day, text them, let them know you're still thinking about that shared moment. But what if you didn't? What if instead, you left just enough room for them to think about you, to feel that little pang of missing you? That space creates longing, and longing creates desire. They start wondering, are they thinking about me too? And when they finally reach out first, doesn't that just feel incredible? Like suddenly the tables have turned and now you're the one being pursued. It's like Oscar Wilde once said, "The heart was made to be broken," and I think there's something to that. Love, attraction, there's always a touch of mystery and uncertainty. A little distance, a little tension, makes the moments of connection feel that much sweeter. Too much pursuit can smother the flame, but just enough space lets it burn brighter. But hey, it's not about playing games. That's key, right? No one wants to feel like they're a pawn in some dating chess match. It's about authenticity, about staying true to yourself and your intentions. You're not withdrawing affection to manipulate anyone, you're just respecting the natural rhythm of human connection. Because if everything comes too easy, where's the excitement in that? Let's take a cue from the Stoics here. You know, Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." It's so relevant. Instead of focusing on how to win someone over, focus on building something real, something based on mutual effort. Think about the quality of what you're building, not just the outcome. Are you creating something that's fulfilling? Are you offering space for the other person to step up and meet you halfway? Here's a thought. What if, instead of always leading, you sometimes step back and observe? You've shown your interest, put yourself out there. Now it's time to see if they're equally invested. Do they reach out to you? Are they making plans or checking in? That's a true indicator of how much they're into you. It's not about sitting back and waiting forever, but about creating a space where they can demonstrate their feelings too. And patience. Wow, isn't that the hardest part? It's so easy to jump at the phone, to be the first to text or call, but sometimes restraint is more powerful than action. By holding back a little, you're saying, "I trust that you'll reach out if you want to. I'm not going to chase you down for attention." That quiet confidence, that's magnetic. People are drawn to those who aren't desperate for validation, but are secure enough in themselves to let things unfold naturally. Which brings me to this. Focus on your own life. Nothing is more attractive than someone who's deeply invested in their own passions and goals. When you're living a life that's fulfilling on its own, you're not constantly seeking validation from the other person. You're creating space by simply being absorbed in your own journey, and that independence is a powerful magnet. Think of it like gravity. The more you focus on building your own world, the more they'll be drawn into your orbit. And here's a little question to keep in mind. Are you leaving enough space for them to step forward? It's such a simple thing, but it's a game changer. If you're always in their space, always filling every gap, you might not give them the chance to show you how they feel. A little pause, a little waiting, those moments are where relationships can breathe and grow. You know, it reminds me of the IKEA effect. Have you heard of it? It's this idea that people value things more when they've put effort into creating them. It's like when you build that piece of furniture from IKEA yourself. Suddenly, it feels like it's worth so much more. The same thing happens in relationships. When someone has to put in effort, when they have to work a little for your attention, they value it more. It's basic psychology. And here's the thing. None of this is about being cold or distant. It's about being mindful of the balance between effort and space, between pursuing and allowing yourself to be pursued. It's about creating a relationship dynamic where both people are equally engaged, equally invested. Dale Carnegie nailed it when he said, "You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you." The same applies to romance. Show genuine interest, but then let go a little. Give them room to be drawn to you, to choose you. When you get that balance right, it's not just about building a relationship, it's about building one that's deep, meaningful, and full of mutual respect. So maybe the next time you're tempted to reach out first, pause. Let the space between you do some of the work. Let the natural rhythm of connection flow, and watch how it transforms the dynamic between you. It's not a game, it's an art. As you master these 6 valuable tips on how to make them chase you without playing it cool, remember that self-worth is at the core of everything. It's not about playing games or manipulating emotions, but about understanding your own value and letting that radiate naturally. When you prioritize your personal growth, confidence, and emotional independence, people will be drawn to you without you needing to pretend. They'll want to be a part of your life because they see the strength and authenticity in you. Embrace these principles and allow them to enhance your relationships without losing yourself in the process. If you found these insights helpful on how to make them chase you, show your support by hitting the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the Stoic Goddess. Share your thoughts in the comments below and hit the notification bell to catch more amazing videos in the future. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.